Hey all you lot, and welcome to another sexy episode of News You Might Have Missed. I'm your host Tom Lord, and on this show we look at a mighty mix of eclectic excerpts ranging from news outlets, blogs and tabloid rags based around the globe. On today's show we've got a former US Navy admiral has been a bit of a naughty boy, Greg's the Bakers are pioneering excellence once again, and a reclusive Amazon tribe finally got the internet, but it hasn't turned out well. But first, a New York couple have won the magnet fishing lottery. According to The Guardian, James Cade and Barbie Agostini pull up an entire safe in Queen's Park, New York, with bundles of $100 bills inside, and are told by police they can keep it. The couple managed to open the safe and found the cash, bundles of $100 bills, with an estimated value of $100,000. Though of course, the money had been damaged by water. In an interview with NY1, James Kay explained they started during the COVID pandemic because it was cheap to get into, and although in their previous finds they found old guns, Second World War grenades, a full-sized motorcycle, foreign coins and jewellery, they never expected to have a safe at the end of their fishing line. When Kane got into the safe, he said, "We pulled it out and it was 2 stacks of freaking hundreds." They then contacted the New York police and they said there was no crime attached to the cash and no way to identify the original owner, meaning they were allowed to keep it. And Agostini, his wife, said, "I couldn't believe it. I lost it." As in went crazy, obviously, not the cash. I'd heard of dynamite fishing, but magnet fishing, that's new to me. Knowing my luck though, if I started and ended up pulling the plug out of a lake or attracting some sort of mechanized robot superfish that the government don't want us to know about. Actually, where is my tinfoil hat? A former US Navy admiral has been a bit of a naughty boy. According to The Independent, a former Navy admiral has been charged with taking bribes whilst on the job. The US Department of Justice said the 4-star admiral, Robert Burke, played a role in a bribery scheme that involved a government contract during his time at the Navy. Mr. Burke was then the Vice Chief of Naval Operations from June 2019 to June 2020, before becoming commander of the Allied Joint Force Command in Naples, Italy. But he retired in 2022. The retired admiral voluntarily surrendered himself to law enforcement in his home state of Florida on Friday. He was then processed by local police before being released a few hours later. Mr. Burke was charged alongside 2 New York-based co-CEOs, Yong-Chul Charlie Kim and Megan Messenger. Their company, Next Jump, provided a training program for a portion of the Navy in 2019. All 3 of them faced charges of conspiracy to commit bribery and bribery. Is there a difference? But Mr. Burke also faces charges of performing acts affecting a personal financial interest and concealing material facts from the US. He could face up to 30 years in prison. Good old corruption. I just wish it worked at a grassroots level, you know. A bit of speeding, here's 50 quid officer. A bit of DUI, 100 quid for the boys in blue. And who knows, if they started taking bribes for loan fraud, they might just have the requirements to be a member of parliament. A US ambassador to Mexico has resigned his post after pretty unacceptable conduct. According to the BBC, this mad lad ambassador left his post after pointing a gun at staff. In a video posted on social media, originally reported by the Financial Times, the video purports to show John Benjamin aiming a rifle at another man while looking down the weapon's sights. It had the caption, "In the context of the daily killings in Mexico by drug dealers, he dares to joke." Is that a joke? In the video, a man resembling Mr. Benjamin can be seen moving a weapon around a car, aiming it at different people. Laughter can be heard in the background, and one man is seen gesturing uncomfortably as the weapon is aimed at him. No official announcement about Mr. Benjamin's position has been made by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, but he is no longer listed as ambassador to Mexico on the government's official website. It just says he was in his post between 2021 and 2024. I'm sure it's great for morale to have an assault rifle pointed at you. I mean, look at American school kids. That must happen every day, and yet they still have the strength to abuse ADHD medication. The country of Russia and the actor George Clooney apparently aren't friends. According to the Daily Beast, Russia says that mediocre actor George Clooney should watch his back. This was after Russia's security head honcho, Dmitry Medvedev, had a problem with George Clooney's Foundation for Justice on Saturday. Russian news agency TASS, or TASS if you're cool, reported that the foundation is encouraging EU countries to penalise Russian journalists who report positive coverage of Russia's attacks on Ukraine. But Medvedev took it a step further, tweeting, "A certain mediocre actor called George Clooney has decided to use his foundation to hunt down Russian journalists all over the world and persecute them," and further said that Russian journalists are very attentive and highly trained people. And the final line was, Russian journalists are going to have a chat with Clooney from dusk till dawn. KGB. Who'd have thought it? Old Vlad the Tosspot doesn't like criticism of Russia. Good news though for any fans of cathedrals. Old Clooney will be steering well clear of Salisbury and tea for a bit. Unless of course, he's doing a method part as a victim of the Chernobyl disaster. A condescending British traffic cop gets his much needed comeuppance. According to the Harrogate Advisor, a traffic officer who once warned speeding drivers, "This is not Silverstone," has been sacked after clocking up 154 miles an hour in a police car whilst on duty. PC Adam Smith was sacked by North Yorkshire Police after a misconduct hearing found him guilty of gross misconduct. Smith, who was filmed in a forced publicity video aimed at cracking down on street racing in Selby, was clocked at doing 154 miles an hour and 98 miles an hour on the same journey. Smith was sacked with immediate effect and placed on the College of Policing's barred list. You're barred. And Police Chief Constable Tim Forber said, "The actions of PC Smith, driving at speeds of up to 154 miles an hour with no policing purpose for doing so, have undermined the legitimacy of the force in this regard." What's he going to do with his life now? No one's going to be friends with a disgraced copper. The only job he'd be good at is like a traffic warden. And without all that power feeding his overinflated ego, he's going to be looking at a toaster and a bath as a combination for a bit too long. He'll be in a worse spot than a 10-year-old at Gary Glitter's house. A Spanish town obviously doesn't like stag and hen parties. According to The Guardian, a Costa Brava town has banned penis suits and sex dolls from stag and hen do's. Playa Diaro announces fines of up to €1,500 for appearing in public with clothing representing human genitals. The new bylaw specifically bans people from appearing on the public thoroughfare without clothing, or only in their underwear, or only with clothing or accessories representing human genitals, or with dolls or other accessories of a sexual nature. And offenders face fines of €300, pretty rubbish, up to €1,500, really rubbish. Mayor Mauricio Mendez said these attitudes have an impact on the community's coexistence, and we need to fight against them. And as an example of recent unacceptable behaviour, David Puertas, the local chief of police, cited a recent incident where the groom was strapped to a lamppost with gaffer tape while his companions kept neighbours awake, playing loud music and singing into the early hours. What's wrong with dressing up like a cock? I had spiky hair, a pop collar and void jeans in the 2000s, and I only got battered 6 times. It's like what my brother used to say, my mates don't like you, so don't follow too close and, don't be seen with us, okay? Donald Trump's travel plans are a little bit knackered. According to Newsweek, big F, former President Donald Trump, now a convicted felon, could face significant travel restrictions as many countries around the world enforce strict immigration policies against individuals with criminal records. Donald Trump was recently found guilty on all counts in a high-profile hush money case. The charges stem from payments made during his 2016 presidential campaign to adult film star Stormy Daniels, aimed at silencing her allegations of an affair. And this is when Trump became the first former US president to be convicted of felony crimes, whilst actively seeking another term in office. And based on data from the World Population Review, this is all the countries that felons are not allowed to enter.
Argentina, Australia, Canada, China, Cuba, India, Iran, Israel, Japan, Kenya, Macau, New Zealand, South Africa, Taiwan.
The United Kingdom, where he's got all his golf courses, and even his own country. And apparently also this lot if they can be bothered to check. Where's the old lad gonna get his tan now? I mean, with the look of him, he must have been on the surface of the sun a couple of times this year. Oh, that's right. The same place American cheese gets its wonderful radioactive hue from. Can you get a visa just for Essex? Ikea is looking to virtually sell you unpronounceable furniture. According to Eurogamer, Ikea is hiring UK workers for its new store in Roblox. Lanyard and everything. As spotted by The Gamer, the virtual store is part of a Careers Done Different campaign, in which IKEA hopes will demonstrate possible career paths available within the company. Successful candidates will be able to serve meatballs in the store's bistro and help patrons choose furniture in the showroom. As for pay, Ikea is offering an hourly wage of £13.15 for this obviously fully remote position. But to apply, those interested will need to answer a range of questions, including how do you feel about being turned into pixels? Applicants will also need to think about what they would do if the bistro ran out of pixelated hot dogs during their shift. Oh, my face hurts. How sad is your life if you're going to a virtual Ikea and sit on a virtual steel frame bed that you'll know will virtually collapse in about 3 years, and then get a virtual dose of the squits after you eat too many closing time virtual meatballs, and then virtually throw up outside a Charn Richard service station. Sorry guys, flashbacks. Hospice workers make a pretty rookie mistake. Funeral home shocker. According to ABC News, authorities in Nebraska are investigating after a 74-year-old woman, who they believe to have died whilst in hospice care, was found to be breathing after being transported to a funeral home. This pretty weird incident began on Monday morning. The woman had been transported from a nursing home, where she'd been declared dead at around 9:44 a.m, to the funeral home, Boothorus, Mesa and Love in Lincoln. But authorities responded to the funeral home after an employee noticed the woman was breathing and instantly called 911 at approximately 11:44 a.m. The funeral home staff conducted CPR on the woman, probably not something they do every day, and she was transported alive to a local hospital. But unfortunately, she ultimately died. So when they took her back to hospital, she died. Perhaps we're all getting this wrong, you know. What if the cold slab of a mortician's table is the best thing to cheat death? Perhaps combine a ghost walk with a spa weekend at Co-op Funeral Care. Or perhaps they throw in a couple of hours of freezer time if they bury your nan. A loony doctor finds the sharp end of justice. According to The Independent, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, a Cleveland doctor who told state legislators during the COVID-19 pandemic that vaccines cause people to become magnetic, has been sued by the federal government for failing to pay $650,000 in taxes and late fees. The Department of Justice's tax division sued Tenpenny in the US District Court and is accusing her of failing to pay her taxes in 2001, 2012 and in 2013. With the addition of late fees and penalties, the Department of Justice argues that Tenpenny owes a total of nearly $647,000. But after she spoke to Cleveland.com, she said she'd been unfairly targeted by the feds and claims she has tried for years to clear up her tax issues. And said, "This shows what the IRS can do to a person that they target. This is a total harassment case. They've been doing this to me for 23 years. But she also previously claimed that vaccines made human beings magnetic and that they interfere with cell phone service towers and they interfere with women's menstrual cycles. Godfly. Some doctors do come up with some rubbish. I have the same problem here. Mine keeps telling me, "Oh, stop smoking. You'll lose a lung and die a terrible, terrible death." Pfft, what does he know? Pass me your inhaler, please. Greggs the Bakers are pioneering excellence once again. According to joe.co.uk, Greggs are launching a yard-long sausage roll this week. I had to look it up. It was 3 foot. This was to celebrate National Sausage Roll Day on June the 5th, and the high street bakery chain will be giving fans the chance to get their hands on a yard-long box made up of 17 sausage rolls. Customers will be able to choose from classic or vegan rolls, and the 3 foot long product will cost 15 whole English pounds. And those wanting to grab the giant snack can get it through click and collect on the Greggs app in 10 shops located in the British cities that love Greggs sausage rolls the most. But you'll have to be quick because Greggs has warned it's available on a first come, first served basis. First the vegan sausage roll, which was actually not bad, then the pure perfection that is a sausage, bean and cheese melt, and now this. This is what you should be doing, Heston Blumenthal. Not bloody snail porridge and norovirus in your shellfish. A cleaning crew find more than just a bottle of Coke left behind in an Airbnb. According to AZ Family, authorities in California say 2 people have been arrested after a large amount of drugs were found in a rental home. Officers were called to the residence in the 1400 block of Ethel Avenue after 235 pounds of meth were located inside boxes at the home. Investigators said the suspects were seen on a Ring doorbell using a U-Haul to transport the drugs. And police further said that the two people who were arrested were caught after officers spotted them attempting to make a U-turn when they were returning home in the truck. But police have not immediately identified the two arrested. Surely you'd just clean all that up and next thing you know you'd be Tony Montana with his barren wife doing blow in a jacuzzi. Sure, you'll get shot and, die, but think of the legacy. Say hello to my little friend is still my go-to initiation for sexy time. A morgue worker has tried to steal a possible biohazard. According to Law and Crime, a 42-year-old mortuary worker in Nebraska is facing multiple criminal charges after he was allegedly caught in the midst of an elaborate scheme to break into the home of a recently deceased man and steal his life-sized sex doll. Ryan Smith was taken into custody and charged with 1 count each of burglary, impersonating a peace officer, first-degree criminal trespass, and tampering with physical evidence. This was after Sarpy County Sheriff's Office received a call about a deceased adult male at an apartment complex located in Omaha, Nebraska. A detective on the scene called a local funeral home and the funeral home sent 2 employees, one of whom was Smith. Investigators took photographs of the body and the room in which he was found dead before Smith and the other employee took the body away. But near the body on the bed was a very real, life-sized version of an adult female, and both the males who came to collect the body made comments about the sex doll. Police then secured the dead man's apartment and left the scene, but later that day, the cops were called by a manager at the apartment complex. They said that Smith had just called the front desk and claimed that the sheriff's office was requesting that he return to collect the sex toy in the bedroom of the deceased, saying that investigators wanted it to collect swabs for a biopsy. Someone on the managerial staff let Smith, who had brought a body bag with him, back into the apartment to collect the sex doll for evidentiary purposes. But a short while later, a different apartment manager found that the deceased man's apartment was deadbolted and latched with a chain across the door. The manager then opened the door and said she found Smith inside and that his shirt was untucked and his pants were in disarray. When police came back, they said several things in the dead man's apartment had been moved around since they left, specifically noting that the bed had been rearranged. Also, the sex doll appeared to have been altered near the thigh area, as she has dust on her and bedding. It also appears that something has rubbed her inner thighs. She was also sticky to the touch with gloves on. Sticky to the touch with gloves on. I actually can't imagine how bad the smell of dead man's jizz was in that gaff. And I bet the sex doll looked like a painter's radio. If we all get COVID again, I'm telling you, that will be ground zero. A reclusive Amazon tribe finally got the internet, but it hasn't turned out well. According to news.com.au, a reclusive tribe in the Amazon finally got hooked up to the internet, thanks to Starlink, only for it to be torn apart by social media and pornography addiction. Brazil's 2,000-member Marubo tribe has been left bitterly divided by the arrival of Tesla founder's Starlink service 9 months ago, which connected the remote rainforest community along the Itui River to the web for the first time. Tisania Marubo, 73, said, when it arrived, everyone was happy. But now things have gotten worse. Young people have gotten lazy because of the internet. They're learning the ways of the white people. The Marubo are also a chaste tribe, who even frown upon kissing in public. But Alfredo Marubo said he's anxious at the arrival of the service, which delivers super fast internet to far-flung corners of the planet. And Alfredo said many young Marubo men have been sharing porn videos in group chats. And he has already observed, why has he observed it, more aggressive sexual behaviour in some of them. He further said, we're worried young people are going to want to try it. He said of the kinky sex acts they've suddenly been exposed to, everyone is so connected, they sometimes don't even talk to their own family. That was my teenage years. We've all been there, hooked on strong pornography and memes. It's like one day you're all road work ahead and the next you're all sure hope it does. I remember when I used to look at all those chickens. Now it's Hurricane Katrina, but more like Hurricane Tortilla. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you do so fancy. Also, if you think there's any news that we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description below. Under here somewhere below. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed. Stay gravy.